Children, your father hasn't been truthful. What do you mean, Mama? He made promises he never kept. Your father is a very wicked man. He doesn't keep money for food. Never respect your father. He doesn't love you. He only cares for his side chicks.
There we go, safe and sound.
Good morning, honey. I kept money for food for us. I'm leaving for work now.
Oh, come on!
The alarm rang at 5 in the morning, and Emmanuel was already awake. He had been staring at the ceiling for an hour, listening to the silence of a house that no longer felt like his home. He rose quietly, ironed his work shirt in the dark, and placed 3,000 naira on the kitchen counter before whispering to his wife, Ada, "For food, make sure the children eat well today." Ada said nothing. She waited until she heard the gate click shut behind him. Then she walked to the kitchen, picked up the money, and tucked it into her blouse. That evening, when Emmanuel returned with dust on his boots and tiredness in his eyes, his daughter Chisholm barely looked up from her phone. He reached out to touch her shoulder, and she flinched, then stood and walked away. He stood there for a moment, hands still half raised, not understanding. His son Tobena passed him in the hallway and said nothing at all, not a greeting, not a glance. Emmanuel sat alone at the dining table, while Ada served the children their food in the living room. When he asked Chisholm later if she had eaten, she said flatly, "Mummy cooked for us." He looked at the food on the table and nodded slowly. "Good," he said to no one. Weeks passed. Ada was careful and deliberate. She planted her seeds with the patience of someone who had been taught well. "Your father didn't send anything for food today," she would say, voice soft and wounded, even as the money he left that morning sat folded in her pocket. She told Tobena that Emmanuel had shouted at her while he was at work, that he called her names and threatened her. She told Chisholm that the reason there was no new school uniform was because their father spent his money on himself. The children listened, and the way children do when they trust their mother completely, they believed every word, not rudely. He simply looked through him, the way you look through a window at something more interesting outside. Emmanuel tried once, setting a hand gently on his son's back during dinner and asking, "How was school today?" Tobena shrugged the hand off without a word and kept eating. Emmanuel withdrew his hand slowly and set it on his own lap. He ate the rest of his meal in complete silence, chewing each bite like it cost him something. Chisholm, who had once run to the gate to meet her father when he came home, now locked her bedroom door when she heard the sound of his key. One evening, Emmanuel knocked softly. "Chisholm, it's Daddy." There was a long silence before she said, "I'm sleeping." He pressed his forehead gently against the door for a moment, then straightened up and walked back down the corridor. That night, Ada found him sitting in the parlor alone, in the dark. She turned the light on, looked at him, and went to bed without saying a word. The questions started quietly at first, small thoughts that interrupted his concentration at work. What did I do? When did I lose them? He replayed conversations, searching for the moment everything changed. He found nothing. He began to carry the confusion home with him, turning it over at night, when he should have been sleeping. His chest tightened, his head throbbed on some mornings. He took paracetamol and went to work anyway. His supervisor noticed it first. Emmanuel had always been the strongest man on site, the one who arrived early and left last. But lately he moved carefully, like a man afraid of his own body. His eyes were different. Not tired exactly, hollowed. One afternoon he stopped mid-task and gripped the metal railing beside him, breathing slowly. His colleague Bayo asked if he was all right. "I'm fine," Emmanuel said. "Just the sun." But when Bayo looked at him, truly looked, he saw something that had nothing to do with the sun. It was on a Tuesday afternoon that Emmanuel collapsed. He went down between two stacks of material, and for a moment no one moved, because none of them had ever seen this man fall. Then everything happened at once. Bayo dropped what he was holding and knelt beside him. Someone called for water, Someone else was already running. Bio was the one who made the decision. He knew the family lived 20 minutes away. He left the site at a run. He arrived at the house to find Ada in the living room, speaking to the children in a low, certain voice. "Your father has never cared about this family," she was saying. "Everything we have, I fought for it myself." He collapsed. Bio's voice cut through the room like something hard thrown against a wall. Ada blinked. The children turned. He collapsed at the sight. Bio's chest was heaving from the run, but his eyes were steady and furious. "And before I came here, I watched that man beg the site manager to let him keep working. Sick as he is, he said he didn't want his family to go hungry." He looked at Ada with an expression that was not anger so much as grief. "That is the man you have been telling these children to hate." The room was very quiet. They found Emmanuel on a mat near the site entrance, too weak to stand, but still arguing weakly with the site medic that he could finish the day. His shirt was soaked through. When Chisan saw him, her father, this broad-shouldered man she had spent months refusing to look at, reduced to something so fragile, something broke open inside her chest. Tobena stood completely still, and then his shoulders began to shake. Emmanuel looked up and saw his children, saw their faces, saw what was in them. He tried to sit up straighter. Even now, even here, he was trying to appear strong for them. They went home in near silence, Emmanuel supported between Bio and Tobena. Ada trailing behind with her arms folded around herself. She thought, for the first time in months, about the woman at the market who had first told her about the supposed affair. How eager she had been, how detailed, how she had always seemed to enjoy delivering the information. Ada thought about the money she had taken from the counter every morning. She thought about the locked door, and the turned backs, and the meals eaten without him. The full weight of what she had done settled over her slowly, like something very heavy, lowered from a great height. He came through the front door, carrying bread. No one knew how he had managed it. Weak as he was, blood pressure still unsteady, hands that had trembled all afternoon. But Emmanuel had stopped at the small shop near the junction and bought a loaf of bread and a bag of provisions, and he carried them home the way he had always carried things, quietly, without announcement. Chisholm saw it first. She made a sound that was not quite a word, and then she was on her knees in front of him. Tobena followed. They knelt at their father's feet, and the apologies came broken and shapeless, not polished speeches, but raw, ugly, honest sorrow. "Daddy, we didn't know. We didn't know. Please forgive us." Emmanuel looked down at his children, these two people he had worked himself half to death for, and his throat tightened. He was exhausted. His chest still ached in ways that had nothing to do with his blood pressure. But he reached down and gathered them both up with what strength he had left. "Come," he said softly. "Get up. It's all right." He held them while Ada wept behind them, and outside, the evening was settling in the way it always did, unhurried, indifferent to everything that had just been broken and everything that had just quietly begun to mend.